Oh boy, today's gonna be fun. Oh, today's going to be very fun. Yes, it's going to be very fun. I do have to note a little bit of disappointment. We did not see No Man's Sky at the Microsoft conference.
Yeah, that raises a lot of questions of what they're doing.
Raises a lot of questions. I know that there's some stuff still going on with the ARG that I suspected that might be why we didn't see a lot of stuff or see anything for
crazy, though. The ARG went totally nuts.
The ARG went totally nuts, and they were alluded to the possibility that it would be there, and they weren't. So we're not sure what's going on.
Because they had that video where that thing blows up, and it's like, okay, so.
And the whole thing with the date of June 10th, which is today, which was the Microsoft. So we don't know what's going on. There's still Sony's tomorrow.
They're gonna blow up that building, maybe, but that still doesn't make any sense. I don't know what they're doing.
There's still Sony's press conference tomorrow.
I don't hold up high hopes for that, though.
I know.
I don't think they're going to be there. I mean, that would be like too reminiscent of 2015 then.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they are deliberately going there just to try to get it right 2.0 as far as round 2, but I don't see that being a good idea.
I know. I know. All right.
And the thing was, there wasn't many space games represented by Microsoft anyway. I mean, in looking at everything they showed, I think only in one of the montages, they did like a couple of montages, and only one had any sort of space-based thing, and it was like just like a brief 1.0 second, flash of it, and that was it.
Yeah, so, that was about all we saw.
They didn't have much space representation there on the Microsoft. Now there were some interesting things. I will say that as a whole, there was a lot of variety in Microsoft stuff.
I'd have to say Microsoft's been getting browbeat by Sony and Sony fanboys. Where they're basically going on, Xbox has no games. Failbox has no games. And they've been getting browbeat by that for like a year now, and they came out of their corner swinging.
Yeah, because I mean, there was like, what was it, 50 some odd one of
50 games, 50 games, 15 exclusives, and 15 world premieres.
See, I kind of expected it to be among those world premiere ones.
Yeah.
To show off next, but when it didn't show up, I was like, okay, they're not going to show. Well, I'll tell you what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought they went all out, because when they started doing the staticky thing at the end, my first thought was, oh crap, they saved it for the end. They're going to have the Atlas take over the place. I really thought they were going there. I'm like, oh my God, they made the biggest deal out of it.
Yeah.
And then it came out to be Cyberpunk, and I'm like, oh snap. Okay, well, they're not going to do that twice in a row, so that's done with then.
Yeah. So, actually, we got a little less on that than I was hoping for. We might get more in the PS4 event.
I think it's good to know they're still working on it, at least. And then
yeah. Oh, they've been working on it. They want to make sure they do it right.
Well, they need to. It'd be nice to see that game in full.
Yeah.
Because even I'm kind of looking at it going, that might be kind of an interesting game to play.
Yeah. Because you played a little when we were in DC. You played a little bit of Shadowrun, and Shadowrun and Cyberpunk are almost identical, except in Cyberpunk there's no magic. There are no elves.
That's a completely technical world,
yeah,
right?
Because Cyberpunk and Shadowrun are almost identical worlds, except there's no magic in Cyberpunk.
Yeah. So, by the way, my prediction about No Man's Sky was only that it's going to be bigger, not that it was going to be at E3. Although I was kind of expecting it to be there I still say it's going to be bigger than all the other.
ARG,
people think it is,
the
but-
ARG dropped a few hints that suggested it might be there.
Well, they did. They had that
yeah.
whole. They had that Sacramento and Phoenix, and they had this big thing where it was a spiral. It was the Fibonacci sequence that people had to solve as one of the puzzles, and it wasn't part of the ARG. This was something a user did. You got to remember that this wasn't a deliberate thing the ARG did, but it's one of the users who decided to try to overlay the Fibonacci sequence upon the US map and get that Sacramento and Phoenix, which are connected to the ARG. The line went through the convention center area, and it looked like maybe that would fit, and it didn't. I mean, so unless they're part of the PC group or the Sony thing,
there is the PC gamer. There is the PC gaming show tomorrow.
Those are the only two places I see that they could show up. I'll tell you what I started to think, though, when Microsoft started talking about buying all those studios up, I was kind of like, did they buy No Man's Sky, or did they buy Hello Games? Because there was those kind of small companies that they were kind of taking up.
They were shotgunning these games. A lot of them, I missed a lot of the names of these games because they were shotgunning through them.
Plus the way they were presenting it was kind of hard to see anyway, because they kept starting with the camera far away, and it was hard to catch some of the intro material. But I started to think they might have bought Hello Games at one point. Because they were showing these little companies where they had a lot of promise, and I'm like, that sounds like, maybe Hello Games.
It's like, are they going to make Hello Games a Microsoft Studio game? Microsoft Studio game?
I was really wondering there for a moment. I was looking at it going, oh, that would be an announcement if they did. And then they went through the 5 that they said they were going to do, and they're like, okay, well, they didn't do that. And it's like, okay, well, that's a thing. And I was like kind of relieved, and I was kind of thinking, well, maybe it wouldn't have been a bad thing for Hello Games. I mean, it would give them the resources they need and Microsoft's like, here's some resources, make a creative game, and you still can be creative in your way about it. Would have been a good place for Hello Games. And it would have helped kind of give them some sort of foundation to which to lean upon rather than just themselves alone.
That's what they did with Mojang when they hired them.
So I was
purchased them. They allowed them to do their own thing.
And see, I had thought when they started talking that way, I thought that they were probably going to do that.
Yeah.
Until they didn't, and I was like, okay, well, they didn't. So, because if they had, it would have explained a little bit more about a lot of what we were seeing.
Yeah.
But I guess not. I mean, unless they are and they just didn't announce it, but it didn't seem like they were going to, because if they had, it would have.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of the other stuff, I mean, okay, the No Man's Sky stuff wasn't there, which was surprising because that was the most likely place it would be.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like really low percentage chance of showing up someplace else. But for what we did see, I think what I like about what they had is I liked the variety of stuff. It wasn't just shooters.
Yeah, it was a huge variety of different genres.
Variety.
Yes.
Small little, like that little Fox game, and that's where they were talking about that stuff, all the way up to Tomb Raider and stuff like that. There was a good variety there.
Yeah.
So, and of course the guy from Bethesda shows up, and like, Bethesda's sort of the new virus that just shows up everywhere.
They made jokes about that.
Bethesda poked fun at themselves at that one.
Yeah.
That guy who was doing the whole Siri joke.
We'll get to the Bethesda part in the second half of the show, second half of the stream. We're going to talk about the Microsoft press conference first, and then we're going to get to the cringe fest that was the Bethesda
the guy did show up there briefly, and he did show up at the Microsoft.
Yeah,
that's why I was bringing it up.
Microsoft came out strong, and Bethesda came out cringy. So
Bethesda was weird. It's like, okay, you got this band, and it's like the whole leak from Walmart apparently kind of spoiled it for them because the band was totally like, guys, just don't. The joke's been spoiled already.
Yeah,
it's no good. It was awkward. And then you had that tall guy and that shorter bald guy, and I'm like.
And then they had that glitch in the presentation where the video was supposed to play at that point, and they're just standing there and going, Awkward.
Yeah, awkward. And what really got me was, I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he's tall and he looks like a dude you'd see in the Arizona desert on a bike. And he's got this completely different voice. It was like, okay, this is one of those things.
He sounds like a Nord, and he looks like a Hell's Angel.
Yeah, it was awesome though. It was like, but it was like awkward, and it's like everybody else. It was like they were overreacting to the crowd. It's like, come on, you know. It's like,
I think they had a lot of new people who were inexperienced in front of an audience.
They were not. I even called you at one point and said, I think they don't let these guys out much.
The only one who really held himself good was Todd Howard.
He was a master.
He played the crowd.
He ruled the roost when he was up there. He knew what he was doing. Everybody else was like, okay, what do I do here? But
what do I do next?
Knew how to play the crowd. He was a master. Yeah, he got it right. Everything. And he took up the bulk of the show, and I think that was a good thing. So everyone else kind of got their awkward act out of the way, and you could just tell that they were nervous. They were nervous. It's a good thing they didn't sit in front of the Microsoft crowd because the Microsoft crowd was huge.
Oh God, Microsoft had a huge audience. They usually do.
Well, what caught my attention was when we saw it, I was like, dang, that's a bigger crowd than I would have expected to be in the hall.
Oh,
I was like, okay.
Significantly more people than there were at EA's conference.
Yeah. And they had Microsoft stuff was a pretty well-oiled presentation. They had so much to cover.
Yes.
And it did go a long time. It was like what, 3 hours nearly.
They didn't let anything drag out for too long.
No, they did something and they moved on. Even that one video where there's that one game where it's like these cars racing in this open world. I forget the name of it. Where they had these guys up there. They're not really playing it. You can tell by the way the video looks. They're not playing this.
Yeah.
They're just staged up there. They're literally watching the same video that's on the screen. They're not playing it.
It was like contrasted with EA's conference. EA's was a little subdued because they were like, "Don't hurt us, please." They got spanked, and Microsoft comes in. They go.
Out to make a statement.
They're out to make a statement, and they're going bam, 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 bam with new stuff.
They loaded all their games up into a minigun and let loose on the audience.
Yes. So they opened up with a new Halo game.
That's what they were doing.
So
they were just shooting those games left and right.
So they opened up with Halo Infinite. It's not Halo 6. They're calling it Halo Infinite. We got a short trailer. That's about it. It looks like they're on a new engine, too. Beyond that, no data, no information.
Most of this was announcement. Details mostly were pretty thin in this presentation.
Yeah.
The details totally were sort of light, except for a few places. A lot of it was just mostly game shout-outs and some trailers, and that was a good 85% of the whole presentation was just a trailer. The whole thing was really a massive trailer montage with some stop and discuss.
Usually happens a lot with E3, where you have one year they do a lot of big explanations of games, and then another year they'll have just announcements.
Yeah, Bethesda was a stop and explain one.
Yeah,
they did a lot more stop and explain.
Not as big as the one they did for Fallout 4. With Fallout 4, they just went all out. With Fallout 76, they didn't go as in depth.
I don't think there's as much to. Well, we don't know. I think I like the nuke option. But anyway, we'll get to that. But I know what I want to do in that game now.
Nuclear launch detected.
Nuclear launch detected. I'm going to be all about shooting the nukes. I'm going to blow up everybody around.
So, new Halo game, focused on Master Chief, and new engine.
It looked good.
It looked good. That could have been just a pre-rendered trailer, but it did look good. And then they mentioned charities being raised at the Xbox Fan Fest.
That honestly felt better to me than what was going on at E3.
At the EA event.
We had a fan fest. We donated all your we donated all your ticket money to this charity. Cool beans.
Yep.
And they just went on, and they're so that's how you do that.
Mhm.
They're like, hey, we did a good thing with your money. We didn't just spend it on ourselves. Buying ourselves our new whatever.
Oh yeah.
We put your money toward a good cause.
Mhm.
And I like that. It did not feel disingenuous. It felt like it was proper.
Yeah.
So that was good. I like that.
Okay. So after that, that's when they made the announcement of 50 games, 15 of them exclusives, and 15 were world premieres, brand new games.
That's when they went lock and load on the montage.
That's when they went lock and load. They showed a new game from the Ori franchise.
I looked at that. I'd not seen that before. And the first thing I thought was Carbuncle on steroids.
Yeah, Carbuncle is this glowing blue squirrel from Final Fantasy 11 and 14. And
that character was very reminiscent of it.
no, I have Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, the very first game. I have that one, and it's good. It gets hard later on. It's a platforming game. It's sort of a Metroidvania sort of game, and you're this little character named Ori, and you gain new abilities, and you have to solve environment puzzles and stuff to get through a world, and the graphics look really beautiful. It's a very I wouldn't say it's a very violent. There is fighting in the game, but it's not ultra violent. It's more pausing. It's more, really nice music, really beautiful visuals, and it's a lot of thinking person sort of action puzzle game, platformer. Uh-oh. You lost me? Uh-oh, technical glitch. Stand by. Technical glitch, everybody.
We lose our internet connection?
No, stream's still going.
I've lost your audio on Discord.
Alright. Let's reconnect Discord. Okay, we're back.
Okay, I got it.
Alright.
Yeah, technical glitch there somewhere. I lost you completely.
And your camera's off.
It shouldn't be. It's on here.
Either that or it's... Hold on.
Yeah, it's here. I don't know what...
Ah. I see what the problem is.
There's your problem. Wherever it is. Find it?
Alright, there we go.
We're back?
Yeah, we're back.
I broke the camera. I warned you about that.
Alrighty then. Alright, so, yeah, Ori is pretty neat.
Yeah, that looked like... We probably need to move through these quickly, too. We probably don't want to spend a long time on these.
Because there's a lot here to talk about.
We're gonna have to move through these quickly.
Okay, so there's a new game from Software. They are the makers of the Dark Souls franchise and of the Bloodborne and Dark Souls franchise, which are like insanely hard games.
Wait, which game was this?
They have a new game. It looks like a samurai Dark Souls.
Okay.
The name I couldn't catch the name. It was Sekiro. Or something like that. It was some kind of new
yeah, I don't remember it. It didn't stand out to me enough to remember.
Yeah, it looked like a new Oriental samurai-based Dark Souls sort of game. They're known for those really extremely hard but with fair controls sort of game. Really hard and punishing. And they're adding Fallout 4 to Game Pass, which is their subscription service where you pay a monthly fee and you gain access to a whole bunch of games.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that Game Pass because I was thinking about, I wonder if we should probably look at the thing.
Yeah, because
do game reviews and stuff.
I think it's like $10 a month, and you get.
Is that on top of like the gold, Xbox Live Gold or whatever it was?
I think you
I haven't
do.
been on Xbox in a long time.
I think you do have to have gold, and I've heard that they are dropping the fee for gold.
Okay.
That they may be dropping the fee for gold. That's not been confirmed, but I've heard rumors that they may be dropping the fee for gold.
They're gonna depend on maybe depend on you paying for pass. Maybe it's where they plan on making their money. In other words, instead of charging you for what everybody on the PC already does, the multiplayer, just let you have the multiplayer and then just charge you for an actual content like pass. That would be a good way to do it. Because to me, to charge on console for something PC gamers do essentially for free, it always felt like a ripoff.
Yeah.
I've never liked that. I'm not a fan of that.
From my understanding, they are actually making money off Game Pass. They are actually making money.
It would be good then if they switched it to where they could probably do it and still make money if they switched it to where, because if you're not taking money away from gold just to play online, you'd have the money to go play on Pass, and you'd feel like you're getting your money's worth, and then anyways, it's more win-win for them because then more people would do it.
Yep.
So that feels like a better way to go instead of kind of double charging people. So that would be the smart thing for them to do.
Yep. Then after that they brought Todd Howard out, and he gave us a new trailer for Fallout 76. Didn't give too many details. He just said that it was a prequel to the entire franchise.
It's like the first vault that opens.
The first in the lore, Vault 76 is the first one that opens. It's in West Virginia, and he said that it is the area is 4 times larger than Fallout 4, which Fallout 4 was big.
I'm kind of wondering because it almost felt like it's bigger, but it almost felt like it was more divided up. I don't know if it's just as it changes as you go across, or if you're in 4 distinct areas.
The area has more diverse biomes.
There's a transition between each different area. Because they showed them and they do look very, very different. And I was like, well, are these uniquely different and you have a hard zone line transition, or are they more... It's just transitions naturally as you go across the terrain. Likely just
subtle transitions.
I think that's the case.
Where you go from tundra to ice and snow and
Bethesda, there was a lot for that game I want to comment about though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So they spoke about that. There was a new Life is Strange style game called Captain Spirit. Not too sure what this is about. It's like a little kid playing by himself.
Oh, was that the one where the kid has the imagination?
Yeah, where the kid has the imagination that he's a superhero.
Yeah.
Stuff. That's looked actually pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That looked actually pretty interesting. Then of course they had to talk about Crackdown 3 a little bit. They just showed a new trailer with what's his name? I thought it was a little cringy with the dialogue in the trailer. It was a little too over the top.
Which game was that?
Crackdown 3. With Terry Crews doing the dialogue. I think his whole monologue in it was way too over the top.
Yeah.
It was sort of really a bit cringy, and the game's been delayed again and again and again and again over a period of years because they're trying to get.
Is this the one where it was like everything's supposed to be destructible?
Yes.
Okay.
They were
talking about that on one of the. I forget if it was GameStop or Spot or IGN. They were commenting on whether or not they were going to see that or not, and they were saying that pretty much what you were saying there. And when they showed it, it's like Yeah, this seemed a bit much, maybe, but okay, whatever, works for them.
They're trying to get what they're doing is they're trying to get the processing in the cloud for the physics calculations to work, I think, and they're having trouble with it. I think that's why the game's being constantly delayed.
Well, I don't think anybody's tried that yet.
Yeah.
And you've got to get that data. I don't think it's probably not just a matter of the physics and the server side. It's probably getting that data back in time for it to matter in game.
Yep. So no release date, just a new trailer, and it seemed
we'll see where it is next year.
Yeah. We'll see how it is next year. Okay, there's a remaster of Nier Automata coming to the Xbox One X. It looks like, possibly, just basically enhancements for 4K and things like that from Square Enix. Then they showed a new trailer for Metro Exodus. The third.
Was that game you were playing that one time? That when you were in Russian metro system or something? Is that related to that? Yeah,
when the game first came out, people were saying, "Oh, it's just capitalizing off of Fallout 3." When the original Metro 2033 came out, it's actually based on a Russian novel series about post-nuclear war Russia, and people trying to survive in post-nuclear war Russia with mutants and everybody's living
well, the theme
under
there does sound sort of Fallout 3-ish from the Russian point of view, so I can see how they
does sound like that. It does sound. It's not an RPG. It's more of a horror survival shooter.
When you get to play it, it's a different game, but when you see it on paper, it looks like a Russian knockoff of Fallout.
Yeah, in this one, instead of in one of the settlements down in the Moscow subway, you're on a train making your way out of Moscow into the Russian countryside to try and get to someplace. And it looks like you got like some kind of anti-technology religious cult or something getting in your way. Which after a nuclear war would seem logical that there would be one like that.
You could almost guarantee there would be.
And the Metro games are actually really good. They're actually very good. I have both. I have Metro 2033 and Last Light, and both are really good games. So I'm actually interested in this one. I'm interested in Exodus. Then they announced that the next Kingdom Hearts is coming to the Xbox January 29th.
Yeah.
That'll be coming out.
They're finally getting to that one.
And then they had an announcement of some new content coming to Sea of Thieves because it has no content.
See, that's where it got me, because I was expecting No Man's Sky to come flying in after that.
I know.
That's when I thought we were getting close, because it's like, with all the drama around Sea of Thieves, and then it's like
people calling it No Man's Sea.
And it looked like there were 2 expansions on that screen at the end.
I
couldn't see their names.
I couldn't see the first name. I saw the second name they mentioned already was Forsaken Island.
Right, but there was another one that looked like they were showing as another expansion. So they listed 2 there.
Yep.
So it's getting content. It's just everyone's always impatient.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting content. Whether or not it'll be enough to make anybody happy, who knows? But it's getting updates.
Yeah.
And see, it was around this point is when I started expecting Next to show up.
Yep.
Because I figured, well, if they're going to show Sea of Thieves, surely they'll go ahead and show No Man's Sky, because they made a big deal out of it with Sean Murray. And it's like, oh.
Yep.
They went elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. And a new trailer for Battlefield 5. Not too much more information than we already had in that. Just basically a new trailer. They didn't talk about anything about multiplayer or anything more what the campaign was all about. I think they might be saving that for the Sony press conference. I don't know. Possibly. It's possible. We might get more then, but they did show a new trailer for Battlefield 5. Then they spent some time on Forza Horizon 4. And the Forza Horizon series has been a big one for Xbox, which is a big open world racing game.
I like racing games, and I'm kind of like, because I was kind of wondering how, looking at that, like, we're gonna play out. I'm curious.
Yeah. So this one is set in the British Isles. Excuse me.
I'm not familiar with the franchise, so it was the first time that I'd seen it at all. So.
Yeah,
there's like seasons in it, and weather effects, and they dropped a bunch of crap on the crowds, which was still falling long afterwards.
Oh yeah, they were dropping those paper leaves.
I was expecting them to start dropping snow and then splash everyone at some point, but they didn't go that far.
So they had changing seasons, and the seasons would have effect on the world. Like lakes would freeze over, and you'd be able to drive over the lakes.
And I made the joke of, you know, it's gonna be funny. Somebody out on that lake, and the ice starts to melt. If you just get dropped in the water. Where's your car? Out in the middle of that lake.
You'd get Ice Road Truckers, the game.
Shit, pretty much. Now it's the trucks.
Uh-huh. They have a 60 FPS mode, a quick chat mode with the D-pad. They'll have public events. It'll be out October 2nd, and it'll be on Game Pass.
Well, it's my birthday, so I guess I'll go get that.
Okay, and Dennis Bridgewater is in chat. Hello, Dennis. And the other the other one is here from Gamers Bay, the owner of Gamers Bay.
Hello.
So he is here. Daniel. Better late than never. Okay, after Forza Horizon 4, which looked interesting, I agree with you. Then they started to announce all the new studios that they were bringing in under the Microsoft Studios umbrella.
Yeah.
So they're bringing in The Initiative. They're bringing in Undead Labs. They're bringing in Playground Games, Ninja Theory, and Compulsion Games. So that's a lot of big indie studios right there. They're bringing in under their umbrella. So yeah, that's quite a bit. That's like
that's a pretty good expansion there for them.
Yeah,
that's a lot of property to be able to have under their roof.
Yep, that's a lot of first party. That's a lot of first party games they'll be able to have in the coming years.
Give them a chance to have a lot more exclusives too on new content like that.
Yep. They did announce We Happy Few for August 10th. For that game, it's technically sort of out. I think it's out now on PS4. I guess it's Xbox is getting it. And then they announced something for PUBG in winter this year, new maps. If you're interested in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Mm-hmm.
One JRPG, Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. It's an older game, and they're getting a Xbox version.
And see, this is why it seemed like you were going to see No Man's Sky here, because it was almost like developers elsewhere that's coming to Xbox. It almost seemed like if they were going to do it, that was quite literally where it probably should have been.
Yeah.
It was the right focus for the content. So if they were going to do it, that's probably where it insert that here if they were.
Yep.
Which is like, once we got past that, I was like, they weren't even in a montage.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
So.
Oh yeah. And the Tales of franchise has been very popular on PS4, PlayStation. I think going back to PlayStation 3, then PlayStation 4, it's been it's been a popular franchise, and it's also on Steam. A lot of them are also on Steam, so they have been released on PC too. So it's been a popular franchise, long-running one. Okay, so after their announcements of all the new studios that are falling under the Microsoft Studios umbrella, and also the announcement of the ID at Xbox Games, that's another umbrella they'll be under. That's the independent studios. And then the new Tomb Raider, new trailer for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where it looks like things are starting to get darker for Lara Croft, where she's still fighting Trinity. She's still trying to keep them from getting artifacts that will give them some kind of edge or be able to take over the world, sort of thing. No gameplay footage of that, just a trailer.
Yeah.
Just a new trailer that gives a little bit of what the story might be. So they're keeping to that.
Might maybe see a little bit more things, stuff that's later on, but.
And an odd one here, Session, a new skating game, where it looked like you weren't in a skate park, you were on the street.
I actually missed seeing that one because that was when they had the montage, and because it was a skating one and I wasn't as interested in skating, that's when I dialed it back to look at that long, fast montage they did.
Yeah, because they were doing, because they had it.
I missed seeing that one.
Yeah, because the trailer ran with music from Eminem in the background, and it looked like it was interesting. I was almost expecting it to be what people were shouting Skate 4 in the chat. They were shouting Skate 4 or something in the Skate franchise in the chat. Like, they were shouting a whole bunch of stuff in the chat. They were just being stupid in chat. And I was expecting something from that. I was not expecting it to be Tony Hawk. I think that franchise is pretty much dead. So this is something completely new.
It's been a while for that. Yeah.
This is some kind of completely new skating game. Then they went to this other part really quick. Something with Black Desert. I don't know if this is either Black Desert Online that they're bringing to console, or...
I was wondering about that, if that's what that was supposed to be or not.
Yeah.
I was confused if that was supposed to be the Black Desert, or in relationship to an expansion to it. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I thought about that, if that was supposed to be the heart of that.
I would have to go back and re-watch the conference, be able to rewind back to it, to look at it, to see exactly what it was. Because they also, as you said, they panned the camera back, and then they didn't.
It was hard to see
some
of
of the details.
It was far away, and they were just recording the screen at a distance, and so some of the details at the beginning and ending were kind of far off, so it was hard to see some of it.
Yeah. So something possibly with Black Desert Online on Xbox, which would be a big deal. Then a new Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry 5. Another popular franchise. It's been 10 years since the last game. So they're bringing Dante back.
Was this the one where at daytime you were like adjusting the towns and stuff, at nighttime it got dark? Is that one, or am I getting mixed up?
No, that was a different game.
Okay.
This is the one with the guy with the spiky white hair. Or spiky whitish hair. And they were killing demons on the street.
Okay.
That one. So a new DMC is coming. And a new Cuphead game is on the way. Didn't look like it was DLC. It looked like it was a new game, completely new game.
Yeah, because I've heard the first one.
Oh god, the first
really
one's
hard.
punishing. The first one is hard.
So there's no telling how nasty it is.
I've seen people.
You know it's gonna be hard.
I've seen people play it who are really good at games, and it just whips the crap out of them. It is tough. I don't know if this new one's gonna be as tough, Or the first one, it was supposed to be just basically a boss rush. The first one was going to be a boss rush, but they added run and gun segments because people wanted it. They might model the second game more after that, more platforming that the people wanted, and then a boss at the end. So we'll see. It's still too early to tell.
Yeah,
this was just an announcement.
Just kind of give an intro, and now, they didn't.
Yeah. Then the game that you mentioned, the one with the fox, Tunic, which looked like a sort of an isometric, block stylized Zelda.
One guy who wrote that entirely.
Yep, one guy wrote the entire game. He was the single developer for the entire game. Basically the same way Cave Story was made by one guy, which was a really big popular indie game from years back. This one was made by one guy. Looked very much like...
It's just a matter of having the right idea and getting it done.
Yeah. Looked very Zelda-ish. Looked very much like classic Legend of Zelda-like. That looked interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Oh, and then the next one. A new Bandai Namco game. And it looks like this one may be a anime crossover brawler with Shonen Jump characters. So they had all the characters I saw were Goku from Dragon Ball Z, Luffy, Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece, Naruto from Naruto, and Naruto, he was the older Naruto from Naruto Shippuden, and then at the end was Light and Ryuk from Death Note. They had just very brief look at Ryuk from the back, and what looked like Light standing next to him from Death Note. So interesting.
Mishmash battle royale for all.
Mishmash. It's not the first time they've ever done something like that. It's not the first time they've ever had because they had one with anime girls from different anime series, the fighting game with girls from different anime series. So this is all characters from Shonen Jump, all characters published from Shonen Jump manga. So looks interesting. Looks like it might either be a fighting game, a 2.5D or a 2.5D fighting game, sort of a la Street Fighter, or it might be a Smash Brothers-esque brawler.
If I had to put money on it, I would go for the latter. Who knows, though?
Yeah, but it looked interesting. That looked interesting. And then the one you just mentioned, Dying Light 2. Where...
Oh, okay, yeah. That was the name of it. That was the one I was trying to put the name to it, and I couldn't think of what it was. Where your decisions and which faction you sided with drastically affect the game. They really emphasize how even the simplest decisions can have a pretty big impact on the game. I like the idea of that.
Yeah, because the first Dying Light was... it was basically a zombie game, where... During the day, it was a bit safer, but there were other groups, other factions, groups that you had to worry about. There were people who were trying to steal resources, and you had to help people in different missions and stuff. And at night, these other really dangerous creatures, these dangerous zombies came out at night. And the regular zombies got more aggressive at night. So it looks like this is a... build up of that maybe years later in a different location where you're in the city and people are just trying to survive, and during the day they're out and about and able to do whatever, and then at night they have to all go hide because the monsters come out. Oh yeah, it looks like they're taking that franchise in a interesting direction.
Yeah, I like the choice system they were making with that.
Yeah.
That effect. I like that.
Now, the first Dying Light, that's on PC, so this will likely be on PC too. A lot of games for Xbox are coming to PC as well.
There were some console exclusives, but not overly.
Not a lot of details, but a completely unexpected announcement. A Battletoads game. New Battletoads.
Yeah, I was like, what? They're doing Battletoads?
Yep.
There's going retro for you.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't show anything of it, though. It was just a teaser.
Yeah, they said it was going to be retro-style graphics, too.
Yeah, so Battletoads are back.
Yeah. Actually, it was more, more hand-drawn animation for the characters, not retro, more hand-drawn animation. And that was very brief. They didn't show any gameplay.
There was nothing.
It was just an announcement, just a teaser announcement. Then Just Cause 4, which that was teased because of Walmart Canada. Another game teased for Walmart Canada, so that was Just Cause 4. You know, with destruction and mayhem, the same as Just Cause 3. That's coming December 4th. Then an odd one, that just an announcement for Gears Pop, which it looked like
they were really building up to the bigger Gears game. They just were starting with that, and everyone's like, "Huh?"
Looked like that one. Yeah, it looked like
you could tell the crowd was really like, "What?"
Yeah. The characters look like pop vinyl characters. They look like pop vinyl characters. Pop vinyl figurines. So it's something of a licensed pop with pop vinyl. And it's a mobile game.
Yeah.
And it seemed to have Lego Lego game humor.
Yeah. They were definitely rolling there with that.
Yep. And then the announcement of a turn-based strategy game, Gears Tactics.
Yeah.
That was odd.
Yeah, they opened it. They got out the gate with that one. Like, everyone's looking at it. I thought, this is not the gear we were looking for.
Mm-hmm. And then the Gears of War 5 announcement.
That's when they went nuts. That's when everybody went crazy. Like, there we are. That's what we wanted.
That's when everybody went crazy on it. And it looks like it continues the story of Gears 4 from before. And it follows a different character this time. It doesn't follow Marcus Phoenix. It follows a different character this time. And then they didn't show much of that, just some gameplay and a little bit of the story of the game. Didn't really touch much on it.
It was mostly a bit of a kind of a give you a sense of like how the stories went. That was the one I think. It was that one where I really felt like the animation was really good. I was thinking about the way that they moved and the way that they did the mocap on it, and the way the animation by the characters was represented. I really felt like that felt. It was probably CGI re-rendered, but it did feel like they kind of got that kind of good.
Probably was. They were cutscenes essentially. They were showing. They weren't showing much in the way of gameplay.
It'll be interesting to see how gameplay looks, but at least because sometimes they do them and they feel kind of jerky and janky and stuff, but this one looked pretty good.
Yeah. I mean,
for mocap for a game, that was actually they did a good job.
It's not Epic that's doing these games and doing the Gears games anymore. It's a different studio now. So I think they're still using the Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
Epic's not doing the Gears games anymore, as far as I understand. And then they're near the end. We thought they were going to do No Man's Sky because they had that whole static thing pop up. But then it was a trailer finally for Cyberpunk 2077, and it looks good.
Yeah.
It looks good. Well,
I so thought they were going to do No Man's Sky with the ERG popping up. I thought, man, they must get full to get that to happen. I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah, but still, it looks like what I was hoping the game would look, because CD Projekt Red, they knocked it out. They set the bar really high with The Witcher 3. They set it really high with The Witcher 3.
I'm actually going to be looking forward to playing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not often, and I've got a few set games I like to play, but that one I might just actually kind of get into.
It's not a perfect game, but the writing's really good, and also the moral decisions you have to make. Sometimes there's no good decision. Sometimes you have to make a decision between really crappy decision and crappy decision that's not quite as bad.
Sounds like the average American election.
and there I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there are a few there's an early on quest that is like, wow, but they bring that into the Cyberpunk universe, because I played Cyberpunk in college, the pen and paper version. I played D&D, Rifts, a lot of Shadowrun and Cyberpunk. I played it, so I know the universe, and it's gonna be, if they do it justice, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great game. They do it justice.
I'm actually looking forward to that.
Yeah, if they put as much work into it as they did the Witcher series, wow.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Giving that one a go.
Yeah. Really looking forward to that. Which is why I wish CD Projekt Red would acquire the World of Darkness franchise from CCP, so they can actually do a decent Vampire the Masquerade game. Because the one that we have is really good, but it's really buggy. Now, the community's been making patches and stuff for it, but CCP is just sitting on the IP and not. They were going to make an MMO set in the World of Darkness mythos for Vampire the Masquerade and Werewolf the Apocalypse, but they never did anything. They canceled it, and they haven't been doing anything with it since. So,
you know that if they did, you wouldn't see it for 5 years.
I know.
Just saying.
I know.
They could get it, but it's going to be 5 years from now before you see it.
I know we're going through this a lot because there's a lot to cover.
Yeah. We're
going through this fast because there is so much of this to talk about, because we watched 2 press conferences, and then we've got 4 tomorrow. Technically, we got 3, and 1's special show presentation, which is the PC gaming show tomorrow. So, recap Microsoft's press conference. They came out of their corner swinging. They were tired of being just slammed by Sony the entire year. Tired of fanboys just screaming, just screaming that Xbox has no games, Failbox has no games. Just tired of hearing that all year, and they came out of their corner swinging.
Well, game, we got your game right.
Yep.
They basically said.
Yep. And Daniel says hi.
Hello.
We got Daniel, and we got
Wait, this is a Microsoft thing. Hello.
Hello. We got Dennis Bridgewater in chat. Looks like those are the only 2 we got so far. But people will be able to watch the archive of the live stream later. Yeah. Yeah, I'll talk to you about it later, but a few things some not so great things happened today. So I'll talk to you about it later when we're done with the show. But I'll let you know. It's nothing bad for him. I mean, it's bad for him, but it's nothing that will affect us.
We'll discuss it later.
Yeah, we'll discuss it later because I don't want to.
It's for later.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Dennis, I'm sorry to hear about that. Daniel, I'm sorry to hear about that. I'm really sorry to hear about that, and I know you've been going through a lot with it, so we won't air your personal life here.
Okay. Well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Microsoft press conference was really strong. Really strong.
I think they did a good job.
Okay. Bethesda, what the heck?
They got weird.
That
was like entertaining on how it was entertaining if you're into awkwardness.
Yeah.
If you're into awkward situations, you got your fill. It was awkward.
Yeah.
It felt a little over the top. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just strange at times. Like, okay, whatever. Keep moving, folks. Come on, keep going.
And you're welcome, Daniel. But yeah, they had some weird, cringy. It's like the people that they had on a lot of, except for Todd Howard, everyone else seemed like, yeah, he nailed it good. Well, he knows how to work the crowd.
Mm-hmm. And he did.
Everyone else was like, why am I here?
Funny. It was funny.
Like, what do I do?
Like, come on, people, relax. You can relax a little bit. Take a chill. You just, you're not gonna bite much. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Relax. Calm down. They were many of them were overly nervous.
Yes, they were overly nervous.
You could tell that they were they're like deer in headlights. There's a lot of it.
It's like watching that first one during the Rage 2, because they opened, well, actually, first, they opened really good, because they got really personal. They opened with the people that worked at Bethesda.
Yeah,
which I liked that. Yeah, they had the montage of the company and celebrating the people that worked there and made the games, and I like that.
I like that. That was good.
Yeah, and then they moved on to Rage 2.
Then they got strange.
They got strange.
I think what happened was, I think the band where they worked better had the secret not been exposed, and they were really truly announcing it there.
Yeah.
I think that would have had a bigger impact because everybody already knew it was coming. It sort of felt kind of forced after that, and it's like, okay, all right, just
yeah.
It's like move along. Just and then that tall guy and that short guy, that was funny. Just like they were like, what do we do next? What do we do? I don't know. Just do this.
Boom-bastic walrus party in the house. Oh, welcome to the chat. He is on the Twitch side. So we got somebody on the Twitch side watching the stream. So Rage 2, they opened with, after celebrating the people of Bethesda.
Twitchy feeling.
They get to Rage 2, which I have played the first Rage. It was okay. It could have been better. It needed more content. After you finished the main story, the only thing that was left was racing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, after that.
Yeah. So perhaps in this one.
Yeah, but maybe there'll be more to that. Looks like you get powers. Looks like that you may have like powers from nanotechnology in this. Mm-hmm. That looked pretty interesting. I got a very. It sounds bad, but I got a very Mass Effect Andromeda sort of vibe from it, in almost a way. But hopefully better than that.
I think Mass Effect Andromeda kind of gave the whole and kind of pay attention to this sort of moment of don't do this. Don't do it like this.
Yeah, don't do that. So after the whole cringy introduction with the guy that sounds like a Nord but looks like a Hell's Angel. They brought out Andrew WK, and his band did Get Ready to Die on stage, live on stage. I
would have found that much more interesting if they'd have had more, if they'd have actually been showing kind of them at the side with kind of the game thing going on behind them, as if it was some sort of, they're playing the music track for the video. I almost thought they were setting up for that. It didn't really, I don't know if it was the YouTube or the presentation.
Well, they used the song for the trailer that they released.
Had the trailer on screen, and it didn't look like they did.
Yeah, they didn't have the trailer on screen.
They should have had the video playing up there behind them, as if they're providing the live soundtrack for what you're seeing.
Yeah,
that would have been way more cool, and they didn't do it that way. Surprised.
No, they did the whole thing, except for when they brought Todd Howard out for Fallout 76. The whole thing was just seemed very unprofessional and sort of.
I mean, the videos and all that were all fine. It was just sometimes when people got there and talked. The only one that was a little more different was the one where those two were on there. They were like at their office or something, and that thing jumped them. So yeah.
Jacob Bow, welcome to the chat from on the YouTube side.
But as far as the games go, the games themselves.
Yeah. Rage 2 looks interesting. It's an open world game. So the other one was open as well. Not quite as open as this game appears to be. This one appears to be way more open world. It looks like they may be trying to do something more along the lines of a Just Cause sort of style game in a way.
Possibly.
It looks like it's an interesting look. They have the trailer originally showed you having a power armor, and this you have also. They showed that you have powers, probably from nanotechnology. They had you getting a satellite from orbit, dropping it down. You grabbed nanites, and it gave you a new ability.
Yeah.
So you get nanites, and it gives you special powers, and you do have vehicle, and there is vehicular combat.
Was this the one that said if you can see it, you can drive it?
Yes.
That was this one, right?
Yep.
They said if you see it, you can drive it.
Yep. Oh, it looks fun. It's not really anything that's ever been. It's nothing new.
Nothing innovative, but it's
nothing innovative.
It looks like it might be an interesting mix of stuff we've already seen, but a good mix of it.
Yeah. Bombastic Walrus. I did see a little bit of Jurassic. Are you talking about the game where you build your own Jurassic World? If you're talking about that, did not see that in the press conferences. I think, isn't that already out?
I haven't seen. I don't remember.
That's from FDev. I don't think that's out yet. It's where you build your own Jurassic Park. So I didn't see anything of that at.
Yeah, there was nothing like that at all.
Yeah, I didn't see anything of that at this year's E3. I didn't see anything about it.
Something that Frontier would probably do on their own thing. They have their own event.
Yeah, my second oldest, Matthew, is very big was very big into dinosaurs when he was a kid, and he loved playing Jurassic Park, Operation Genesis. And I recently sent him a copy like a couple of months ago, so he and his girlfriend could play it, and he's really looking forward to the new Jurassic World game. Okay, getting back to the Bethesda show. So they showed off Rage 2. It looks fun. They talked a little bit about Elder Scrolls Legends, which is their card game.
That's their card game.
Because everybody's going to have a card game.
Like a graphical, they're going to do like a graphical overhaul and stuff of it.
Yeah, and it's coming to the Nintendo Switch. So they're porting it to the Switch.
I got to admit, Bethesda had a lot of stuff, a lot of platforms for anybody else.
Then they talked a little bit about ESO. They have 11 million players on ESO now. So they're getting up there.
It's good to see that you know what? It's because they did the Tamriel Unlimited. They've got way more of Tamriel because there was more to Tamriel that they announced in this too, because there's some stuff in Black Marsh now.
Yeah.
So there's more stuff going in there. So it's getting bigger. You got the Summer 2000. It's gonna be, when they really do get all of Tamriel put in there, it's gonna be a big game.
Yeah, Jacob Bow will be talking about Fallout 76 very soon here.
Yeah, we're getting to it.
Yeah. So they have 11 million players in ESO. They were named MMO of the year, 3rd straight year in a row. Let's see. They talked mostly about the status and state of the game, which they're doing pretty good. They did recently release Somerset, which I haven't gotten yet. I'm gonna get that eventually. They announced some new. Now, way it works is they have chapters. Morrowind was a chapter. Somerset is a chapter. Those are ones you have to buy. Now, the other ones, which are DLC, if you are ESO Plus members like you and me, we get the DLC for free. Now, they announced a couple of new DLC. They announced Wolf Hunter and Murkmire. Wolf Hunter involves werewolves.
Yeah.
Don't know where that's going to be with werewolves.
I don't think they said. Yeah,
they didn't say where the setting is going to be, but Murkmire.
Isn't werewolves though way more related to Skyrim though in the lore?
Yes and no. The
what do you call it? What was that group that was in that first town?
The companions were werewolves, but that's not
them, didn't it?
They were werewolves, but that's not where where werewolves started from.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, in the lore, the werewolves started with Hircine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those guys have been werewolves for a long. Okay, maybe that's where I'm just getting it confused.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I played that part. So.
Werewolves have been in Elder Scrolls lore for a long time. I think this is the first time you actually did see them and fight them, as far as I recall. This is actually the first time you actually get to fight them was in Skyrim. But then the other DLC, Mire Merc, they're going back to Black Marsh.
Over to Black Marsh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly into the less hospitable regions of Black Marsh.
They're probably going to make that a little bit bigger in there. They're probably not going to go too far into it, I would wager. A smaller one. But just expanding that border out just a wee bit would be my expectation.
And then they did a video recap of the game up from base game all the way to Somerset. And they did show a few spoilers in that.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
There's a little bit.
And then
they're assuming you already played it.
Then after that, there had been some speculation that there was going to be a new Doom, a Doom 2. They have Doom Eternal, and they are coming to Earth.
Yeah.
So a new Doom game set on Earth, and it looks like they will have new demons, twice as many as they had before, and they will have more details for the game at QuakeCon in August.
Yeah.
So, a new Doom game, and it's looking good.
I find it interesting how much legacy stuff that has.
Yeah. Because
Fallout 4 has been around a long time. They've got Quake, they've got Doom, they've got Wolfenstein. I was sitting there amazed at how much legacy stuff, early gaming, they are actually kind of taken care of.
Because they acquired a lot of that when they acquired id Software and several of the other studios, the Arcane Studios and several others. They acquired a lot of IP.
Yeah, they got some. They're taking care of some of the oldest and oldest in the classic gaming that started the modern era. So.
Yeah, and a lot of nostalgia for Quake Champions. That felt like classic Quake, classic Unreal Tournament. There, so they're gonna have a competition at QuakeCon and DreamHack Winter, and then there's gonna be a trial. How do you have a trial version of the free-to-play version? Just call it a beta, folks. Just call it a beta. And new gameplay trailer.
The alpha version of the beta version of the trial version of the free version of the free-to-play version of the... Okay.
And then they had a trailer for a new gameplay trailer, and it's classic Quake.
Yeah.
Fast-paced, over-the-top, bloody, blood and guts flying everywhere shooter.
Quake.
Just the way we used to play it back in the 90s.
Quake. Yep.
Then they talked about Prey. They got some DLC coming for Prey. Prey is the sort of the not quite sequel reboot. This is
one of the ones that had. This was the one that had the that repeated one where you had to get out of there. It was almost like, is that the moon one that they were doing?
Yes, the moon crash, where it's a replayable game where every time you go, things change. It's almost like a roguelike in a way.
And you had to, it's VR too. Yeah, they did a lot of VR stuff. But anyway, go ahead.
We got a kitty on YouTube.
I'm jumping
our ranking just went up tenfold because there's a kitty on here.
There's a cat. There goes our rating. We're going shoot up just because we have a cat.
So
2 cats for the win.
Yeah. So the moon crash, it changes every time. The loot placement changes and enemies change every time you play through that.
Part's the most interesting of that. That's
and
the part that got my attention.
Also, another thing is every time you die, it changes something. That which is interesting.
You just can't be learning the pattern. You have to stay on your toes all the time.
Yep.
And then they play that you spin me right round song. I was laughing at that so hard.
Yeah. Now Typhon Hunter. Typhons were the bigger, meaner mimics. And so the Typhon Hunter, that's a single player game where actually, no, not a single player. That's where one player is the human.
Yeah.
And the rest are the mimics.
The mimics, and they can change into stuff.
Yep.
That might be fun.
That sounds an awful lot like Prop Hunt or Gary's Mod, and that's an interesting one.
It might have been what maybe inspired it a little bit.
Possibly. And there would be a VR mode.
Yeah, there's your jump scare city right
there. And then Wolfenstein 2 is coming to the Nintendo Switch. That we knew for a while. And another Wolfenstein game, Youngblood, where you play as BJ Blazkowicz's twin daughters, and it's a co-op game. You going to go to Paris and kill Nazis in the 1980s.
Down with Nazis. They were so down with Nazis thing.
And then they have a VR game, which is sort of a hacker game in VR in the Wolfenstein universe. Which was, they didn't show any gameplay from it and any footage, but they name dropped it. So
guys over there at Bethesda do like being on as many platforms as possible, including VR.
Yep. And that's when they also joked about being on multiple game platforms. That's when they started joking about that.
That's when they were playing. They dropped a big joke video with that, the guy doing the whole series thing.
Yes. And then
like an old text-based game.
Yep. And then Fallout 76.
Yes.
And you said you have a lot to say about that.
Yeah. It's still a Fallout game. It's got all the usual tropes from that.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you can build your base anywhere.
Yes.
And then it doesn't mean it's safe.
Oh.
It's like you gotta really defend it. You got to, you know, if they say you don't get too attached to it,
Nope.
because, you know, there's some nasty stuff out there, and that's not the worst thing. The critters in the woods attacking you is not the worst thing you got to deal with.
They went and looked at, they did what they did with they did what they did with the other, with Fallout 3 and actually with more with Fallout 4. They looked at the local folklore and they created mutants based on that folklore. So they have a bunch of new mutants that are based off of that, like the Mothman and various other creatures, and then also looks like a Yeti sort of like creature. So they have those. It's set 25 years after the bombs dropped. So this is a prequel to the entire
25?
Yep, just 25 years after the bombs dropped. So it is right after the war, literally.
Yeah. And then you still have the, like I said about not being safe, like, then there's the nuclear launch option. And there's the nuclear option. I'm like, oh, that looks fun.
Basically about that, they scatter nuclear silos all over the world, and you have to secure them. And
you go out and collect these cards that have the codes to it, and you got to get the right, you got to get the codes to, you know, probably from other people or whatever, because it's multiplayer.
Yeah,
it's a multiplayer game. I mean,
they said you can still play single player. You can still play single player.
Still play single player,
but you can also play with other people, and the other player, other people you run into could be other players too.
It looked like it was a sort of limited number instance, so that way it doesn't get overly populated.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like enough to keep it active, but not get crowded. It's like they were kind of limiting each, you know, shard of it, that they were kind of, you know, each instance of it rather, that they were going to do. So, but you could still play with your friends and get together. That's something that'll be fun to play with.
Yeah, and they also said that it's still a full-on Fallout game. You have quests, so you do have quests. You have the story narrative, just like a regular Fallout game.
Yeah,
and they didn't mention anything about mods.
Yeah, I'm doubting that being an online game is going to happen.
If anything, it would have Creation Club stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I would think that they're gonna keep that very under control.
Yeah.
Because of the multiplayer aspect of it.
Yeah.
So they didn't mention anything about mods, but I would assume that they would keep that highly under control.
And Ron Perlman's back. You notice the guy speaking in the video was Ron Perlman.
Was it?
Yep. So Ron Perlman's back. Let's see what else. They showed the original trailer, the teaser trailer, and then the new gameplay trailer, new information.
Nuke in a village.
Yep. Nuke in the village.
You know that's like you get on that map and somebody's really trolling you.
Yeah. Oh, new engine.
Yes.
A new engine, new lighting system, and everything.
Yeah.
So they can.
They said they got the detail really high on it.
Yep.
That they've got. Was it? I think they claimed they get 4 times the detail or something like that. I
know they said it's 4 times the size of Fallout 4.
I think they also said it was like several times the detail.
Several times the detail. That way they can show.
And you got different regions that have different. Like you can see weather effects in the distance. And then you could you have different regions that had different, you know, kind of different whole styles in terms of the environments. So you could really, you know, get variety. It's not all just the same thing.
Yeah, 6 different regions with their own specific. And
was it 6?
Yeah, okay. 6 regions with their own.
4 times bigger, 6 regions. Okay.
Yeah, basically with their own distinct
environment.
Feel.
Yeah.
Like city. Some are city, some are, because
country,
West Virginia is a mix of mountains, plains, and cities. Let's see. We talked about where there's no restriction on where you can build, which I like that.
I like
that.
You're
not restricted to within specific settlements.
Yeah, you can just
You can move your construct. You can move your
It's
ow,
like the
kitty,
construction.
ow, ow, ow.
It's like the core structure that you build with is portable, and it sets up that region for you that you can build inside of it.
Photo mode. They showed off a photo mode where you and your. They had 4 people, consistently 4 people. So it looks like you may be able to have up to 4 people in a party. Looks like. And of course the nuclear silos where you find the keys, the code keys to activate it, and then you can just if someone's giving you trouble, find the keys for a launch site and nuke them. Like nuclear launch detected.
Sitting back, sipping a soda, sipping a cola, watching the nuke.
Then if you go to Bethesda, if you go to Bethesda.net, you can sign up for a beta.
The break it early application thing.
Yes.
They kind of need to have it more bug-free as an online game. They can't have that kind of shenanigans going on.
So the first beta for a Bethesda game that I've seen, except for, well, technically ESO was not a Bethesda game. ESO was a ZeniMax game.
But so they needed it for this game.
They needed it for this one because they're going to have the the online multiplayer sort of aspect, and they need that testing.
Yeah, they need that.
And they have a special edition with a glowing map, figurines, and a wearable, functional
helmet.
T-51 power armor helmet. It has a voice modulator, and a headlamp.
Yeah. So.
And the game's coming out November 14th of this year.
Yeah.
So they didn't cover as much on the game. You know, I think the building aspect and the crafting aspect is very much similar to Fallout 4.
It looked like they took from the way Fallout 4 did things,
yeah,
and then they just expanded upon that. They just pulled out some of the limits because the settlement looked really large at the end there.
Yeah.
Before they nuked it, it looked like you could really get creative with it. It looked like it had more options.
Yeah.
So, like, you could really build houses and tents and a lot more types of structures and aspects. At least until it got nuked or trampled.
And Todd Howard said something here that he said something that told me that they expect to keep this game going for a long time. He said that they set up servers for really long term.
Yeah, dedicated machines for this.
Dedicated machines for really long term, which means they expect this game to keep going. They expect to release new content for this game on a regular basis.
I would expect this one to probably get a lot of expansions over time.
Yeah.
This is going to be their sort of light MMO, sort of light multiplayer Fallout 4 game. They're going to just constantly toy with.
So it's not Fallout Online.
No,
it's not Fallout Online. I think they probably tried to see if they could do a game like ESO, but for Fallout, they probably realized it's best to do it like this.
Yeah, because ESO has got a specific world lore, and it's in a fantasy universe. It's got a specific dimension to it. This is set kind of quasi real world setup, and they've got different games scattered all over the place, and it's much harder to do that with it.
Yeah.
So I think this was a good compromise for taking Fallout Online, but still having it feel like Fallout. I think they were worried about losing that feel.
Yeah.
And I think they took. It looks like they took this approach to preserve that a little bit better.
Yep.
So it looks like it's gonna still feel like a Fallout.
Yes. Still feel like a actual Fallout game.
Even when you're online.
But technically, it is an actual Fallout game. It's no.
Well, what I mean by that is not lose that feel, that the wasteland that Fallout presents itself as.
Yeah.
That aspect of the game won't get lost in the shuffle of going on.
Yes. Yes. And then they announced that Fallout Shelter, which has been a very successful game, is being ported to the PS4 and Nintendo Switch, and it's available now.
The one that was it was the other one that was going everywhere, right? Yeah, that was the Blades one, right?
That's when they started with the Fallout presentation with Todd Howard. That's when he made the joke, and they had the whole thing about Skyrim being ported to everything.
Everything.
Sort of joke. Yeah, Fallout Shelter is their simulation game where you run a vault.
Vault, yeah.
And that's been a popular game. That's been a popular free-to-play game.
Making its way to
been completely unexpected. A full-on single-player Elder Scrolls game for mobile, and it looks good. That was the Blades one, right? Elder Scrolls Blades, where it has to be set before Skyrim, because the Blades that sort of kind of technically no longer exist except for a few members. And so you are the Blades. The Blades are.
So this is probably, I would say this is probably before Oblivion.
Maybe.
Because this is when they would be the strongest, and you're kind of running it. Well, no, just after, because they said that their town had been kind of messed up in the opening. They said it as if your town had been kind of, raised.
Post-Oblivion, but before Skyrim.
Right. So somewhere in that era where they've been weakened, but they're kind of trying to survive. And that was the one I think was on everything.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, where they are the Emperor's personal guard. And it's a single player mobile game. Looks really good for a mobile game, and it looks like it controls really good, and you can play it.
Well, it's on every platform.
Yeah, it's on every platform.
Because they had a scene there where you have one person holding it upright, because he said you can even do vertical, so that way you look like you're doing something important when you're just playing the game. And alongside, you're playing against somebody who's on the PC version in VR. Yeah,
they had someone with a HTC Vive playing it.
So it's like on everything.
Yeah.
If it's got a screen, they're slapping it on it.
And you can visit other people's towns that they build, and there's different game modes. There's Abyss, which is a roguelike where it's permadeath. You die, that's it. You start over. And then they had Arena, which is one-on-one battles. And then they had the story mode, which is the regular old story mode. And it's free, coming out this fall. And again, they had the VR, the VR side on PC, because they had someone in HTC Vive playing it. So interesting.
Because they said it was on Xbox, PS4, it was on Switch, it was on mobile, it was on VR. I mean, they put it everywhere.
And then at the end, 2 announcements. Yes. No details whatsoever.
None.
First one.
I noticed,
First one, official announcement of Starfield. Their first new IP in 25 years.
And they give no details.
Just a short teaser.
And what got me was they showed the photo of a planet and a station. And I'm like, oh, it's just a high-def No Man's Sky. Planet and station.
Yeah.
So, because the first thing I thought was the stations.
Or Elite Dangerous with space legs.
Yeah. So they gave no details, so totally open.
And then
you were thinking it was a cover for the next one, and it wasn't. They were actually separate.
Yeah, it's actually separate. And then the official announcement of Elder Scrolls 6.
Finally getting to that point.
No title.
Yeah, I was gonna say I noticed it had no title on it.
Yep.
They didn't even announce what it was. Nothing. It was just Elder Scrolls 6, but there was no subtitle. It was a view of a vast sort of countryside. It didn't look Skyrim-y. It looked like it was warmer than that, more temperate climate. So
which means it could possibly be elsewhere.
No, Elsewhere would be too dry for that. That area it didn't look foresty, overly foresty, but it didn't look arid.
Well, Elsewhere is more savanna.
It didn't look savanna. It was hilly.
The land of the Red Guards, that's desert.
I almost think it might have been Shiver. I might have the one that they just did in the online one. What's it called?
Somerset Isle.
Somerset, because that's related to the story for the elves.
Yeah, because they do have a story with the elves to contend with.
That story of the elves. So I'm thinking that might have been Somerset Isle. I don't have, that's just a speculation, but I'm kind of putting my bits of my chips kind of more, not all of them, but some of them in that.
A lot of things have been changed in the Elder Scrolls universe, because dragons exist again. Mm-hmm. Dragons are in the world again. There is a dragonborn running around out there somewhere. Mm-hmm. There could be one or more dragonborn running around out there. And you got the whole thing going on between the Altmeri Dominion and the Empire, a weak empire.
This is why I think that to me, my thinking is, they just released Somerset Isle. They're defining that land ahead of the actual game. So there had to be some communication in the development of these areas will have to be probably kept for the next, if they're going to do them in an Elder Scrolls game. So my guess is, I think it's just sort of a natural A to B on that you'll get to see the future version of that later. Mm-hmm. Because it was rolling hills, very green, very pristine looking. Now again, that was just a teaser trailer, so it could have been any place. But it fits with the story, and it fits with what we just got introduced in Elder Scrolls Online.
Yep.
So that's why I said between Altmeri Dominion and the fact that we just got Somerset Isle, it probably, if not completely, at least something to do with the Altmeri Dominion and the Somerset Isle. Very green, very vibrant colors, kind of hilly. It feels like it would be an island.
Yeah.
Like inland or something. That's just my speculation.
Yeah. So this conference, the big ones, Rage 2, completely unexpected, because Rage was not a big hit. Walmart
blew it.
Walmart blew it. The first Rage wasn't a huge hit. It was the introduction of id's new engine, which went into id's new graphics engine, which eventually a next generation of it went into Doom. But it was an interesting game. And now they got this one, which looks like
they named a whole graphics card line after that game.
Rage.
They did. Yeah, because I never played it, but I remember seeing the Rage cards.
I think this was before. That was before the Rage. I mean, yeah, that was
with it or something.
No, that was Rage. That was long after those cards. Okay. Those were the Nvidia cards, the Rage cards.
I just remember seeing the name. So
yeah. Rage was the first. Rage was the first collaboration between Bethesda and id Software after the acquisition.
Okay. Like I said, I don't pay attention to everything that goes on, and I just remember seeing.
Yeah. So Rage 2 was a completely unexpected game. No one was expecting it unless you went to Walmart Canada.
Asterisk. It was completely unexpected. Asterisk.
And then Doom Eternal. We knew they had to have had either a DLC for Doom or another Doom game.
Is that supposed to be a complete open world Doom?
I don't know. Probably not. It may not be. It may be a linear Doom game like the first Doom reboot that I have, which is excellent. They just did an incredible job on that.
It would be a bizarre thing to have an open world Doom.
It would be. It'd be a bizarre. It would be a bizarre thing. Then they touch a little bit on ESO, but Quake Champions.
Yeah.
The new DLC, the new stuff for Prey coming. The new Wolfenstein game. Wolfenstein game coming. Wolfenstein 2 going to the Switch, which we knew was coming. The new VR game, Wolfenstein VR game, we was not expecting at all.
They did stop for a moment and then comment about the VR that they really were doing a lot of VR. The guys over at Bethesda do seem to like VR a lot. If they're not putting it into their game, they're even re-engineering some of their own games.
Yep.
Those guys do tend to like playing that a lot.
And they spent a lot of time on Fallout 76, and the made an announcement about the new ports for Fallout Shelter, and the totally unexpected Fallout Blades mobile game.
Yeah.
And then
Did they
the
say
announcement.
Fallout 76 was supposed to get VR?
No.
I didn't know if they actually said that about that game.
No, they did not make any VR announcements for Fallout 76. And then the new IPs, Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, watching a nuke in VR.
And note that also the nukes actually do affect the environment when you drop them off, because they had people.
See, that was the thing, is I wondered about that, because what they showed, that was the thing we didn't get into, but they showed that when you go into an area that's been nuked, it's got like that whole wasteland kind of, everything's all tore up kind of thing, and you can get resources, but you might not.
It makes the region look like the glowing sea from Fallout 4.
And I'm wondering, does this dissipate over time and the area recover? Because I'm assuming it does at some level change the world, and you have to go back at some point. Otherwise, everyone would wind up turning the whole thing into a wasteland at the time. There'd be people who literally would just constantly bomb everything.
I would think the area would probably reset after a time.
Yeah, but it said you could go in and collect resources, but there's a risk because they're so radioactive. But they're rare resources that are valuable. Yeah. So there's a point to that whole system, not just besides, taking out your neighbors that you don't like in an overly dramatic way.
Overly. Yeah.
So,
using a nuke to take out a single squatter.
Get off the lawn! Boom. I don't think there's a lawn left.
Kinda overkill. You're making a statement.
I don't like you.
Using the Tarkin method.
If I can't have it, nobody will.
So,
won't you be my neighbor?
E3 conferences day 2. Microsoft and Bethesda today. Overall,
I think it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It definitely was better. It was way better than what we had yesterday.
Way better than EA's.
A whole lot of content. Little weird at times. But overall, I think was pretty good. A lot of content, a lot of new games, a lot of stuff coming.
Yeah. Microsoft, they just came out swinging.
Yeah.
They had a strong E3 this year. Be interesting to see if Sony has a strong E3 also. That's tomorrow. And Bethesda, they seemed overly nervous.
Bethesda?
They seemed overly nervous, except for Todd Howard. He knew how to play the crowd. He knew how to work the crowd. So,
yeah,
a lot better than
than
yesterday.
Yeah.
And
nobody had to talk about loot box. That was never brought up once. I wonder why.
That was the focus yesterday.
Yeah.
So
never. The word wasn't even uttered once.
Tomorrow.
What's tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Monday. So tomorrow, Square Enix, 1 p.m. Eastern, which will be 12 p.m. here in Central Time in Texas. Then after that, 4 p.m. Eastern for Ubisoft, so that would be 3. The PC Gaming Show, 6 p.m.
That's tomorrow?
Yep, that's tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. That'll be 5 p.m. So I want to see that. I want to see the PC Gaming Show.
I do too. I really want to see that, because if there's another if there's any other opportunity for them to ever show up, that would be the other one. Although I don't know.
I want to see Square Enix because a couple of things. We might get some stuff about the Final Fantasy VII remake.
7 remake, yeah, that might show up.
Shadow.
You'll probably get a little more Kingdom Hearts too.
Yep, more Kingdom Hearts. Shadow the Tomb Raider. More Shadow the Tomb Raider.
Have more of that.
They're
likely.
going to focus a lot on the next. Actually, no, they are not a part of that anymore. They're not a part of the what is that? Hitman series. They don't own that studio anymore.
They don't have it anymore?
Yeah, they don't have the Hitman studio anymore.
Okay.
So
where'd it go?
I think they went to Activision.
Okay, so we won't be seeing them. Maybe the PC.
I could be wrong. So they don't have the Hitman studio anymore. And then Ubisoft, they're probably going to do. I'm interested in seeing the Division 2. I played some of the Division 1, and it's actually an interesting game. And I'm thinking of going back and playing more of it because they really improved it. Where you are in New York City, there in the Division 2, you're in Washington D.C.
Yeah. I thought that looked interesting.
Yes. And
I remember thinking about that when I was watching it. I remember that one standing out.
I want to see the PC gaming show because their venue kept getting bigger each show they had. Each show they did, their venue kept getting bigger. I want to see, and they kept showing more games. And
it'll be interesting to see where they go this time.
If anything, we might get to see No Man's Sky there. No Man's Sky Next there.
That's
maybe
that's the next best possibility.
Beyond that is
doubting they won't show up at Sony. I really think it's a bad idea.
Beyond that is Sony's press conference. Which,
I really don't think they want to show up there.
Which will be at 8 p.m. here, 8 p.m. Central.
Possible, but it's bad.
Yeah, Sony's is going to be pretty late. Sony's is going to be another one to watch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they've come up with as far as what they're going to put on the PS4, and what. The other thing about Microsoft, didn't they say at the end that they are looking at getting more hardware at some point, the next generation or something? Wasn't there comments on that?
No announcement of a new no actual commitment of a new console, but they said that they were working on. They were developing something.
I mean, you'd expect them to be doing that anyway, to be developing something. But the fact that they kind of said, "Yeah, we're working on something. We'll get it eventually."
And they did mention streaming.
Mm-hmm.
They did talk about streaming. So, a executive from Ubisoft mentioned that there was one console generation left, and then after that they would be going to streaming from then on. He did say that, and so it's interesting that his comment comes out, and then they say that in the Microsoft press conference about that.
I'm beginning to theorize that because the console markets are having a hard time relatively staying on par with the PC market. Just moves way faster than the console markets can keep up with their annual product schedule to kind of stay on par with that.
Yeah.
And so if you can deliver a platform that can get the video to the player fast enough and get the input back and forth fast enough, then on the backside they can constantly and rapidly upgrade, be faster than the PC market, and be able to have higher end technologies, be able to present gameplay that would be impossible on a PC platform with just your graphic card, where they can have super server end graphics capabilities like Pixar level or beyond, and be able to present that, process it there, and then just send you that stream of that higher quality. I can see that as possibly being where they're going to wind up going. And then obviously just limited, the quality of the video just limited by the bandwidth. and then
Yeah.
your speed. So I think as an evolution of console gaming, that you're no longer really processing it much in the console anymore, and that it becomes more of just a dumb terminal, to use old computer lingo, a dumb terminal to the super server side, that they can present graphics that your average video card just cannot, under any circumstance, do. That they got whole server farms dedicated to. So like that whole idea, what's that one that they were trying to process in the cloud to do the destructible world?
That is Crackdown 3.
Right, a game like that would become totally viable under that system.
Yeah, where they would be, they would have the server farms that handle the
All
physics
that,
calculations,
all the physics,
local.
all the calculations, all the work,
Yep.
and then graphics rendering just beyond, anything, just movie production quality, and all that code and all that processing, it just cannot be done on a console or even a PC, and then stream that back out to have a whole new level of gaming.
Yeah.
That's where, and then really what's left is fighting with the network carriers to get the networks fast enough and get these weird bandwidth limits and all this stuff up, so that they can deliver that content. There's got to be a fight over that.
Yeah, there's going to be a fight over that. So tomorrow, Square Enix, Ubisoft, the PC Gaming Show, and Sony. Sony's conference is going to be at 8 p.m. here. So I'm thinking that when we start tomorrow, we'll do it midnight. So we'll be back on midnight tomorrow. An hour later than we were today.
Okay.
Because we're going to be covering 4 of the shows, the 4 shows. Take notes. We
I can barely remember what I depend on you to say those games so I can try to remember what it was I saw. I was just like,
we were going to cover Devolver Digital tonight. Yeah, we were going to cover Devolver Digital tonight, but it was getting late, and their thing was going to run late also. So I figured, we can always go back and watch it later.
The streams are archived.
And talk about it, and also the streams are archived, and if it's going to be anything like their last one, it's going to be mostly skits and some discussion of the games. It's going to be mostly just weird skits, because their last one was weird.
Let's see what they did.
Yeah, just to see them, just for the morbid curiosity.
How strange can you get?
Yes. And then Tuesday is the last day of the press conferences, or the big presentations. That's Nintendo. And that will be here at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
on Tuesday.
I don't expect a whole lot there.
Yeah, I think mostly Splatoon,
Few games.
probably Smash Brothers. They'll mention some about Smash Brothers, but I don't expect them. Maybe
I'm not expecting anything huge from that.
Maybe a little bit on the next Metroid Prime.
Yeah,
Other than that, I'm not.
Other
than that, I really don't expect much more.
Once Metro went 3D, I never really got into it. I love the old 2D Metro, the old handheld ones and console ones. When they went 3D, I just didn't stick with it. Just didn't do it. But that's just me.
Yeah. Now the 2.5D Metroid that they had on I think it was on the 3DS. That one is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying that.
Yeah.
3DS.
So tomorrow we will be back at midnight to talk about what we saw at the Square Enix conference, Ubisoft PC Gaming Show, and at the PlayStation, at Sony's PlayStation conference.
Yeah.
So, thank you for everybody who joined us in chat. We had a few people join us today. We had Daniel, the owner of Gamers Bay. We had Dennis Bridgewater on YouTube. We had Bombastic Walrus, I think the only one who's really watching on the Twitch side. Jacob Bowell, who was also watching. So thank you for joining us. If you like this video and you like the content on Gamers Bay, consider subscribing to the channel and remember to click that bell icon. But YouTube's new algorithms, not everybody who subscribed gets notifications. We noticed last time with the live stream that not all notifications went out. So if you want notifications on everything that comes to Gamers Bay and everything that comes to my channel, Zorch Central, you can join the Google Plus community of Gamers Bay. And there we post all new videos and we post about all new live streams there. It was a retro-centric originally community, so we have an older membership. We accept everybody, basically. And it originally started out focused on retro gaming, but we cover everything. And even the Gamers Bay channel covers more than just retro games. I cover retro games in An Old Gamer Plays and more modern games in An Old Gamer Plays Next over on Gamers Bay, on the Gamers Bay channel. So if you want to get the up-to-the-minute notifications on new videos that you are guaranteed to get, check it out on the Gamers Bay channel. I thank you for watching, and we will see you guys tomorrow at midnight.
Peace.
Yeah, peace.